I welcome you today to this YouTube program of Walking with God in the Garden. I wonder how many of you, as you listen to this program, have taken time to walk with God in your garden. I was talking to a friend of mine just recently who told me how exhausted she is. She gets up in the morning thinking about all the work she has to do. So I recommended that she take a little time to walk with God. Not many of you have made comments about this program, but one person this week did and said that so much of what I have talked about has to do with stress and the anxieties that people have. I understand that we can get into that and sometimes just be consumed with all of the problems that are out there. Anyhow, this friend of mine and I discussed the problems that she has. She has a lot of work, anxiety, and also the need to maintain a schedule. So I suggested that before she begins a day with the outline of all the activities that she knows she has to do, that she just takes time to walk with God. I think that would be a good practice, by the way, for much of what is going on in our country today. We all know what happened at the Supreme Court recently, the decision which was made, the conflict which ensued, not only with just that decision, but with innumerable other decisions which are facing them now. It's almost like there is a venue, a change of pace, not regression, but looking at things in a different way. I know that there is the need for each of us to have our own convictions, and no doubt we do. I have been involved, frankly, in a lot of discussion about these matters. I don't know if it has been all that profitable, frankly. I don't try to persuade people to my opinion. I'm more inclined simply to discuss it to see where we are. But there is a need, and I think we all can see that. The world today is in turmoil. There's nations that are fighting against nations, races against races, ideologies against ideologies. Wherever we turn, we find conflict. Countries are upside down, economically, socially, certainly spiritually. Well, here we are, walking with God in the garden, in the comfort of this day. It's really a beautiful day here in Southern California today. We're a little short on rain, but we have accepted the discipline to use less water, be more conservative, and understand that there's a crisis out here. But in facing all these issues of life, we know that there are conflicts that have to be resolved. We cannot just continue to fight, to argue, to disagree, to divide. I've heard it said by many people that this is a divided nation. Usually when we get a new person who wants to run for the presidency, there is this suggestion of wanting to bring the nation together, to unite people. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Yes, it would. I don't doubt that anyone who is watching this YouTube today would doubt that. And by the way, may I just put this in for the benefit of YouTube and this ministry. Please tell other people about this ministry and invite them to join. Maybe even take a little time to observe the YouTube. And if you have ideas about improving this ministry, please let me know. You can do so by calling my phone, 760-803-4236. But today, I'm concentrating on dissolving conflict. We need to do that. I go back to the biblical story of David and Saul. By now, in the sequence of events, Saul has committed suicide. His 3 sons are dead. He has 1 son that's left. And the custom of the day was any children that succeeded the father would take over the kingship. However, there's a conflict here. David has been told by Samuel, who was told by God, that he was to be the new king. Now, the problem is that some people haven't gotten the word, and those people would be the successors to Saul. So the conflict now is between the house of Saul, run by the generals, and the house of David. David is apparently somewhat taking it over, but he has a lot of men that are supporting him. So basically, the issue is, will the house of Saul rule, or will the house of David rule? Now, we would like to believe that God can just step in and solve this problem, just like we would like to believe that God would step in and solve the problems in Washington, in the Ukraine and Russia, in Ceylon, or Sri Lanka, as we know it today. All kinds of conflict out there between human beings. What do we do to resolve these issues? Maybe there's an issue in your own home, a division, arguments, husband versus wife, children versus parents, neighbor versus neighbors. Yes, it's not unique to the biblical story or to mankind. It's everywhere. But there's a bit of wisdom, and I'm going to read that wisdom for you today. I want to have this program be biblically oriented, and I want to support you in your understanding of the Bible. It is not a Bible course, but I make reference to it. And the reference today is from 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 20. I encourage you to look this up and to read it. Maybe you have some spare time this week. It'd be a good thing to do. So here's the passage. And the passage is between, in the conflict, the followers of Saul and the followers of David. The names you can figure out. But here they are. Abner, by the way, is a follower of Saul. Joab is a follower of David. Abner called out to Joab, "Must the sword devour forever? Don't you realize that this will end in bitterness? If we keep on fighting, it will end in bitterness." And friends, it always does. Conflicts in the home, conflicts in the community, conflict in the country. If it is not resolved, it ends in bitterness. So he goes on to say, how long before you order your men to stop pursuing their brothers? Wouldn't it be wonderful if somebody had such wisdom today? How long must this continue? Why not take time to order your men, your people, to stop pursuing their brethren? And by the way, friends, all of us in America are brethren. It doesn't matter, racial, religious, political, we're all brethren. And should we not take a step, as it is outlined in this passage of Scripture today, to bring peace, to avoid bitterness? And that's my message today here on YouTube. It's a message of exhortation, a message of encouragement. There is a resolution to all this conflict that is out there. And friends, we are facing a lot of it. So pray that the words of these two men would bring about peace in our world today. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in to YouTube, this program, Walking with God in the Garden. It's your garden. It's where you live. Walk with God. Talk with God. Enjoy God. And friends, believe it or not, He enjoys being with you. Tune in again next week.